David, obviously that result confirms our relegation. First off, just what's your initial reaction to that?
Look, listen, as I said before this, maybe the inevitable was about to happen with the group, but it's just very disappointing, and I said it's quite hurting. And it was frustrating in the first half, the amount of times you get the ball away. I think there's I always talk to people about people with their subconscious thinking, probably the players knew eventually this was going to happen, and the first half wasn't good enough, a little bit better second half, but ultimately it's another game where we've lost 1-0 and another game where we can't score, not creating enough chances again, which I was quite open about saying to you in the pre-match. But it's just really frustrating. I mean, listen, as I've openly said, and I'll continue to say it, no players go out there to lose a game of football, or there's no point in us actually working with them. And in the 2.5 months I've been here, we've tried everything we can to try and get more out of them, and I think when we sit in a more of a block we actually do alright, but you can't do that all the time because you're actually having to go win games of football. And against Halifax, they're a good side, they've got good energy, they've got good mobility. We lack a bit of that at times, and when you try and go toe to toe against that, unfortunately we get a little bit exposed, and that was evident in the first half.
You talk about the quality that Halifax showed. Was that sort of evident in the fact that we were lacking, and that's ultimately what's cost us this season?
Well, ultimately we played Halifax one of the first games I came in, and they're good, and they've got really good mobility, legs, etc. So we sat in a mid-block, hence why we managed to get a win. But the problem you've got is you can't do that against every team, because there's expectation that you're trying to go after teams. But unfortunately when this group early in the season they're trying to play, they've been punished so many times because they're opened up, hence why they're losing 4 or 5 goals at times. And they have been, as I said before, a little bit defensively better, because you've got to structure it that way. But unfortunately when we've got to try and win games of football, and they're trying to win games of football, but so many games have tried to do that, we just don't have the firepower unfortunately to go and do it, and that's not an excuse, that's just a fact. So when you really try to go for it, then you're opening yourself up. And again, there was moments today in the first half that we really are trying to play with a bit more, style in football, and we just get the ball away far too much, because that's just been an Achilles heel again. Forgetting about the not scoring goals at times as well, just turning the ball over. There's only so much you can do about that at times, and again, that's why probably earlier we've actually had to go a little bit bigger, as I'm talking about when I've been in here and what I've looked and what I've watched when you assess the group. You want to try and play more football, of course you do. We've tried to do that today, but to try and give a bit more positivity in the style of play. But ultimately when they do that, they get the ball away all the time and they lose goals. And it was happening a lot in the first half, that we gave away the ball, and there was chances, and Ben made saves, and they've hit the woodwork, and then unfortunately we've lost a set piece, which is just really frustrating, just people not doing their jobs right. But it's a game where we then try and push and try and get something out of it. But listen, I'll stand and I'll support the players and protect them a little bit. The first half wasn't acceptable for me, not good enough. And again, we'll try and take responsibility as a staff that we try and pick a team, but you try and pick a team that's best you can, that are going to try and win a game. The bottom line is that Halifax are better than us, and they are better than us, hence why they're 5th in the league and we're 23rd, and that's been across the course of the season. It's funny, I was listening to somebody like Mark Hughes is a very experienced manager at Carlisle. There's a reason why the teams are where they are, and you can try and bring money and bring players in and do different things. We've just been very unfortunate with some of the games. We could have got more out of it, but ultimately the squad and the level of quality of player just hasn't been good enough throughout the season.
Just finally, I spoke to Corey Whelan, who said sort of the aim for the last 3 games is to restore a bit of pride, not just for the badge, but for themselves as people. Is that your sort of message for the remainder of the season, just to try and restore a bit of pride and remind themselves that there is some quality within that dressing room, but ultimately it's just not been on show enough this season? Listen,
we said that, see, before the game and even last week, you do anything you can to try and motivate individuals. And the one thing throughout the time I've been here, that they are good people, they're trying. There's no denying that they're trying. Whether, and I said that before, they're good enough or not is sort of other people to make a decision on. And if you look at it, unfortunately, the way the league table is, that doesn't lie. Well, they've obviously, as a club, have tried that many different things this season to try and recover it. And there's a lot of, I hate using the word damage, but a lot of damage been done, whether it's on recruitment or whether it's on decisions or whatever it is. And again, if you look back at a lot of stuff to try and assess where it was, and I say losing so many goals at times, the goal difference is frightening at times, because it's losing far too many goals if you look early in the season. They've definitely improved that side of it, as we spoke about, but that's all great that you've got to score. And I said before, where it's your individual pride, yourself, you're playing for your family, you're playing for your career at the end of the day, because some of these boys will out of contract and then they've got to try and get a club somewhere else. There's all different motivation factors. For me, I've always said to them, I said before it, you've got to be unselfish if you can, do everything for the team, do everything for the club. And it's hard that when they've had such a difficult season, but they're trying. And I said earlier, just sometimes it's not been good enough. And again, if you look at it today, Halifax were the better team. That's a fact. You know, there's ways of trying to keep yourself in the game, and I'll give them some credit. The second half, at least they got themselves back in and tried to have a go at it. We actually get into areas, as we always do, just don't have enough quality at times to execute the areas we're in. We have that one really good chance when Nick plays through for Owen, things been flipped on, the ball gets laid across, and it ends up that Charlie has a shot and it comes off Haskell's over the bar. If that doesn't tell you the story of what's going on this season, nothing will. There's nothing we break. Now, you're desperately just trying, if we took a draw for that, would be probably lucky in a lot of respects because they had more chances than we did, but that's ultimately in a lot of the games if we play and if we open up and really have a go at teams will have more chances because they'll probably get across the board maybe better quality, better players, and that's why league positions, that won't lie to you. And hopefully what the club need to do is they need to have a reset. I think there's opportunities no matter what happens in football. If I look at, there's loads of clubs that'll, I look at a club like, because Ashes are known for Ipswich spent about 100 odd million and they've got a top coach with Kieran McKenna, and I remember playing against them when I was at Shrewsbury. Now ultimately if they get relegated, the same as teams in the Premier League, you need to reset and build back up again, and it's the same at Fylde, the same at any club, the same if it's in League 2 to National League, whatever. What there needs to be is a real review of what's went on through this season, last season, where we've got to this point. I can only talk about the 2.5 months I've been here and the 2.5 months coming in to try and help a group to be better. And what I will say is that they've tried, they've worked hard. Unfortunately the squad just probably isn't good enough, and then that's when you need to reflect on what the club does as a structure and how they recruit, having the right staffing structure in place to make sure that, and that's not me having a go at anyone previously, but there needs to be a structure there that you're going to bring in players that fit how you want to play. The players we have are quite kind of, I've said this very openly, inside the club since day one, there's a bit of a mismatch in regards to the squad types of players and things like that. And unfortunately, when you've got a mismatch, it's hard to have an identity. There needs to be a clear understanding of what you want to do from a style of play. So stylistically, how do you want to play the game of football? But you need players to fit that. You can't just decide that we're going to do a certain thing without the players that fit to that. And I think it's the biggest thing that needs to happen, is how the club need to look at it and reflect on it. I've been lucky enough to work at clubs, Red Bulls with top managers, Burnley with top managers, where there's a clear understanding of what you're trying to do and a clear alignment of it. And I think that's a great opportunity for the club to reflect on and say, right, let's put the right people in place. And I'm talking about recruitment, then identify talent, bring that talent in, mix it in with the academy, because I think that Garner's has done a good job with some younger ones. They're just not ready for this. Most teams play with men, and I look at young Danny. Young Danny's a top young person, and he just needs to get a lot of development physically and a lot of development from a football point of view. But there is potential there, and I think there's potential with other younger ones that have been around about it. Even like the boy Taylor Kane out and went on loan to Chester. I allowed him to go out there because he needs the games to get better, to come back to here. The same goes with other young ones we've got that are around about the first team like training. Hopefully you can merge that together and recruit ones that fit, that then gives the club an opportunity to really try and improve over a longer term point of view, and then hopefully they get where they want to get to. Their ambitions are to get to League 2 at some point. That takes a lot of work. It does take a lot of effort. And people always say it's down to money. I think in fairness there's money being spent, but it's got to be spent in a way that's going to be conducive to actually building something that then can get where you want to get to. And if they do that right, then they've got a chance, because there's no guarantees. Man United are testament to that. They spend millions, and again they've not been as successful as they'd like to be with the money they've spent. So what happens at all different levels, and I just think here just now what the club needs to do is reset itself and build something. Keep the ones that they think can actually help the club, and then bring other ones in that's going to actually kind of make sure that it supports the players that are here to get the success that they want.